Hey Fab Fam, it's Vinny B with Dead on Board Gaming, and I am here after the first week of ProQuest, and want to tell you about my experience. I wonder how your guys' experience was. Did you guys have a good time? Did you guys do well? What did you guys run? Did you run Starvo into Starvo, or did you try to plan around it? Did you have success? How's it going? I took a step back and looked at the actual numbers across all of them, and it doesn't seem he's as dominant as people were worried about, which I think is awesome. Um, I played it this weekend. I think the deck's a blast. It definitely has weaknesses that I think can be exploited, which I think is perfect for this type of metagame where it should be rotational. If you're not going to rotate cards, the metagame needs to rotate, right? And I'm hoping that Bravo here, star of the show, is an example of the type of heroes they want to introduce to the game because you want them to shake up the meta. Like when you introduce new heroes or a new set of heroes, you want them to interject themselves into the meta and actually be competitive every time because that's how you're going to get the rotation that a TCG needs in general. Because no matter how tight the games are, there's always going to be a best deck, and you want that to be changeable. You know what I mean? Like interchangeable. Interchangeable is actually the better word. You want other decks to be able to figure out a strategy and they become increasingly good, and then another deck that preys on that deck becomes increasingly good, and it loops, and before you know it your deck is geared towards something else so much that back to Starvo, and now Starvo is strong again. And then you add new heroes, and you want them to kind of rise to the top and then slowly sink into the meta, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with Starvo. He's strong now. We want him to be strong because he has a different play style. He has a big card pool. But when you look at the card pool, all the cards being ran aren't amazing. So, like, he's using a less efficient card pool to take advantage of what he does. In general, in all the builds, you know what I mean. It's the big dominated turns are really where the deck shines. Um, Discard is at a premium. I think like Red Winter's Whale or Winter's Bite. I'm sorry, is super strong right now. Especially you attack. Starvo goes through his motions with his crown. He ends up leaving himself with like one or two resources. You Winners bite him, and he has to get rid of another card. Now he's down to two cards, and he pretty much can't Starvo ability. And when you do that, and he's just swinging four, it gets rough. The only problem is he's still a guardian, right? And like, if he decides to be more guardian in the matchup, you have another obstacle to get by because he blocks and absorbs damage very well. Even though a lot of his stuff blocks for two, you still get two free ones from your equipments if you're running the basic package, and then whatever else. So like, I don't know. I want it to be absorbed into the thing. I think it's a fun deck. I may be a little biased. I did get to the finals in my ProQuest, just to be transparent about it. But like, it had something that most decks I don't think have in all TCGs really. And like the mirror match was actually like a fun, skill intensive type of match. At least every one I played. I think I played it 3 times, and every match felt fun and again like skill intensive, and like when to take damage, when to eat your hand. The games seem fun. Maybe it gets boring down the line, but usually mirror matches suck, and this didn't feel that good. So another reason I actually like kind of want it to kind of hang out. Again, I made it to the finals. I started the day against Chain. I forgot to side in Nullrune, and I want to say that lost me the game, but again, that doesn't account for us both playing differently and stuff like that with me having them. So that doesn't mean that I would win. but we got to the point where I was fatiguing and was gonna let him take blood debt damage, and I was gonna, turtle up. But like all he did was, he found Revel and Rune Blood. There's 4 arcane. He was able to make it, and I just couldn't block it. I could seeds it once, but he was also doing his wide turns, and yeah, I succumbed to that, and I blame it on a lot of like little trickle damage that I probably wouldn't have took because I can pitch for, you know what I mean? I could like on his like slower turns, I could pitch, absorb, 2 to 3 null runes, get to do my seeds like I want to, and block a card and still have 3 cards to kind of operate on. That seems like the way to go about it, and then you kind of get to the point where I think you shell up. I mean, I'm sure there's great hands that you would do differently, but like I feel like it's a chain match. Like you kind of get to a certain point, and it's like, okay, well now I just have to kind of survive whatever they're gonna do towards the end of the game, and if I can do that, they lose. So, anyways, I lost that match. I went on to defeat the next 4 opponents. I think there was an Ice Lexi, a Wizard, a Prism, and there's one I'm blanking on. Starvo, which was my buddy Matt, and that was in round 6, and he squeaked out a good match. I feel like he had control a lot of that game actually, but again, it was a good match. It, tough decisions throughout it. Again, I like the mirror match. So he won. I ended up getting in 7th place, which I was actually afraid I wouldn't because I lost the first and the last match, and according to everything I read, that's like the worst 2 things. So I thought I kicked myself out by having the 2 worst losses in your thing, but apparently my strength is maybe that doesn't even matter. But my opponents that I played, I think all did very well. So we get to the top 8. I can't remember the first round I played. Like I remember it was a very good game. It came down to he was able to block out 2 turns that I thought I was gonna win, and then he just couldn't get to the 3rd. Like it finally got to him. It wasn't Starvo because there was 4 Starvos. Then there was a Prism, which I don't think it was Prism I played. A Chain. I think an Ice Lexi, and then the one I played, and I can't think of what it is, and it's killing me. Anyways, it was a really good game. I pulled it out. Then I got to play my buddy Matt again in the semifinals, the guy that beat me in round 6. We had a great game, a very back and forth game. I squeaked it out. I believe it was a dominated crippling crush. Actually, I don't think it was dominated, but he was at 1. I think that's how it ended. I think I had a crippling crush, and he wasn't able to block at all. Was it dominated? Either way, it was a really good game. I squeaked it out with a crippling crush. I can't remember if he didn't have enough block, or I feel like he didn't have enough block, but I could have dominated it. Sorry, I am not recalling this very well, but so we get to the finals, and we have a great game. I think it lasted like an hour and a half. It was very good. I believe everyone around us thought it was going to get to we were at the fatigue stage, and that's what we were going to end up playing towards. I made 2 very big mistakes. It was late. My brain was jelly. But my biggest mistake, and I think this lost me the game, is I think it was 17-14 if I remember right. I got to my turn with an awakening, and instead of putting it in my arsenal, I used it to swing hammer. And as soon as I put the hammer forward, I was like, that was 100% wrong, but I already did it. I think that's where I lost for sure. Now again, everything changes when this happens, butterfly effect and everything. So I don't want to say that it changes all 4 or 5 turns after that. But it was a big mistake. It was a big mistake. And then 2 turns later, I went to pitch to do my seeds on my turn, and then I was going to swing a Frosty Hammer to kind of get a new arsenal. I did it real fast, and I pitched out of order, so the hammer didn't have frost, so he was able to, take any amount he wanted. I think he only took one still, but he was able to kind of warp his thing around it. And those were the two big glaring mistakes. Other than that, it was a fantastic game. He was a great opponent. Congratulations to him. Yeah, it was great. And again, I had a good story, but I did start with a loss, which I was a little tilty. I got over that, and you know what I mean. And I got lucky to sneak in towards the end, especially with the second loss. But yeah, it was a blast. I can't wait to do the next one. I hope to see you guys. And again, I want to know how your guys' went. What'd you guys play? What do you think of Starvo? Do you think it's too strong? I don't. I really don't want to talk about it being too strong because, I don't know. We could talk about it some other time if we really want to get into the conversation. If you guys want to talk about it being too strong, what the issue is, I'll have that conversation. But right now, I think it's fine. I don't want to even point any glare to it, because again, I think it is beatable. The thing about a car, the card like Awakening, which I think would be the problem. All right, I said it. I think would be the problem card. Even that just involves you keeping the life totals close enough. But then again, it's within 3. It is tough. Awakening is a tough card. But anyways, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you guys. And I appreciate you guys. Anyone who stops in, anyone who wants to have a conversation, I welcome it 100%. And as always, thank you guys for being the best community in gaming. I'll catch you guys next time. Dead on Board out.